If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bites podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bites. I'm Ben, and this is Syya. And the question is today, when to pivot, when to persevere. We all remember the Kenny Rogers song, Know When to Hold 'Em, Know When to Fold 'Em. You know what? We live in a world where we constantly have to look. And when is it time to run with something? When is it time to cut bait and run? It's the world gives us a million different options. And we need to sit there and say, is it worth it to us? Is it worth it to our people? Is it worth it to our customers to keep persevering through this, to run more money after sunk costs, to be able to move forward and to be able to meet a specific goal or a specific mission or specific purpose? Or do you sit there and go, wait a second here, this is not attainable, or this is not attainable within an ROI that's worth it. And maybe it's time to rethink, and maybe it's time to move forward. So Syya, let's gnaw on this.
You gotta know when to hold 'em. Know when. Come on, you're not gonna sing with me?
Know when to fold 'em.
Know
Know
when
when to walk away. Know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing done.
Woo! All
There we
right.
go.
That would be Gnaw on This karaoke. Thank you very much. Tip your waiters. By the way, we're so doing this. That's gonna be part of like every episode. We're gonna have to sing a song now.
Okay, well, we'll have to sit there. We'll have to build that into the episodes.
Yeah, we're not only of our 2 followers. Woo, I'm kidding now. Anyway, we love our followers, and you know
We
who you
do.
are.
Team Live and Team Replay. We love you all.
We love you all. All right, so I got distracted, but let's just say know when to hold them, when to fold them. So this is, I think, one of the hardest things to really go through, especially as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So there's going to be time and place where, look, when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, every bit of revenue counts. Every
Yes.
bit of interaction that you have with a client matters. And unfortunately, people, there are going to be some times where maybe, and it doesn't have to be negative reasons, just for whatever reasons, the relationship can only go so far. And so when I say that with utmost respect. Sometimes it could be as an entrepreneur, maybe your platform that maybe whatever you've created, the gadget you sell, the product you have, took your client to a limit, right? If you are in a service-oriented business, your capabilities of what you guys have to offer can only take you so far. So here, I'm going to do a case in point example. I have worked with many reseller partners in the tech industry. Now, resellers are basically folks that are, the right-hand man workforce to help big major tech corporations, if they're in product, software, whatever. These people do the installations or they support the small, SMB business space. So resellers are typically a great avenue if you need something, if you're smaller scale. These guys are one-on-one. They're all trained up. They know what they've got going on.
Yep.
And oftentimes they're entrepreneurs themselves, right? They were professionals and they were like, hey, we can start our own organization that can do it, right? The challenge is what if you get a client and you land a whale and you are a 3-man shop, but you've landed a whale, right? Maybe you met Elon Musk on the plane and he's like, I want you to do all the work for, I don't know, you're my flamethrower business.
For the boring business.
For boring, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, sure, yeah, no problem, we can do it. Yeah, let me tell you something, sisters and brothers. No,
You can't.
you cannot, no matter how much you want to. I mean, and I saw this a few times with some reseller partners where they're like, "Oh my God, we landed a multi-million-dollar deal." I go, "Do you guys have like company credit to sustain a multi-million-dollar risk?"
Hmm.
Right? And man alive, it was a tough, tough, tough conversation. But there are ways to work around it. There is always where there's a will, there's a way. And sometimes if the will appetite's not as there, like you met Elon Musk on the plane, he loves you, and then you tell him, yeah, man, I can't fulfill it. He'd be like, bummer, dude. Right? He liked you in that moment in time. He's willing to give you business. He ain't gonna put his neck out for you, right? It's not that I'm not speaking on behalf of him. I'm not maligning, but I'm just using it as an example. He's twin, might like you, but he's not going to sustain your business unless you got other relationship going on that we don't know about. So that is one thing, and that's like the positive version of like why sometimes you have to part ways, right? Because you're just not there. Now the opposite is you maybe your company doesn't have the expertise, right? They just don't
Right.
cannot do what it is. And again, that sucks because as an entrepreneur, you want to be able to have the capabilities to do it, and it sucks to walk away and be like, I cannot do that for you. Right.
And that's a big thing to realize is know what you do well, what you're capable of, where your pocket is, and where it's time to either say, you know what, you're better served by other people, or you know what, I have a friend, that's what they do. They're really good at that. Let me introduce you to them and they'll be able to take care of you. And I think a lot of, especially small businesses don't take the time and the energy to build allegiance and alliances, to be
Yeah.
able to sit there and say, okay, I've got a solution that's good up to about $1 million. $1 million client or $5 million client or $10 million client. My solution works for these people. I understand them. I speak their language. I understand their challenges. The technology works. It's cost effective. Blah 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 blah. Great. All of a sudden, a $50 million solution comes up. The thing, your solution is not going to have the sophistication that they need because they're a $50 million company that wants to become a 75 or $100 million company. They're not a $50 million company that want to become a $5 million company.
Right.
So they're looking to grow. Your solution would be stretched to the max at half of their volume. So you're not servicing these clients well. You're better to sit there and say, okay, who services the people one level above me? And quite honestly, it's even better to sit there and say, who services the people one level below me? Because you're going to run into projects as if companies that support $50 million, you're going to run into projects for $5 million that you really shouldn't be in either because it's not worth your people's time and it's just gonna suck up your bandwidth.
Right.
So we need as organizations to understand what do we do well, what don't we do well, what are we going to stick around and work on, and what are we either going to refer out or we're going to sit there and say, you know what, this just outside my bailiwick. You need somebody who can do this. I'll help you find that person, but I don't do that.
I think it takes a lot of maturity. I think it takes
Hmm.
a lot of, quite frankly, confidence in yourself to say, yeah, that's not, I don't do either. Right. Like, what's that Meatloaf song? Things I'll do for you, but I won't do that.
Yeah.
You know, there is that, I think that's like the really positive side of things. I kind of like my brain is like now wanting to switch over to what happens, Ben, if it's just not a good fit,
Oh
as
yeah.
in personalities, oil and vinegar, and you're trying really hard to be professional, but it is like, look, as every professional, you want to remove the emotional side of business
Hmm.
relationship, right? It's really truly about task at hand. But is it really? No.
Well, I mean, and we've all had these customers, or hopefully you haven't had these customers and you haven't been blessed with them. The people that give you $5 million worth of business and take up $10 million of your time. The ones that are constantly wanting more, that are calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning, that interrupt you on vacation, that interrupt you, in the middle of the night or on weekends, and demand extra service and demand this and demand that, and you just don't have the bandwidth to be able to service these people, and they're not spending enough money to make it worthwhile. They expect you to do all this for free because they think they are the cat's pajamas, and that they are your only customer, and they're the only people that matter, and and that's what some customers do. And the question is when is it time to tell these people quite politely, it says that, what, I'm sorry, this relationship is not working. Is not a two-way relationship. We're not able to come to conclusion. We're not able to fix this relationship. I wish you well, but I can't service you anymore. And I think it has to be about business. It can't be you're a pain in the ass. It can't be your people are a pain in the ass. It can't be any of that thing that says you're overly demanding this, that, the other thing that says, look, we just don't have the capabilities to service you the way that you want to be serviced. And I appreciate that. Can I help you find somebody that's better suited to your needs? Or can we just shake hands and just say, you know what? You have to go your way and I'll go mine, and we'll do whatever we can to help make that transition as easy as humanly possible.
I like that. I like that offering of like, okay, admit, hold your you and your team accountable. Hey, and it could be, look, no one's perfect. It could be your team done messed up, Ron, right?
Absolutely.
And that's a hard like pill to swallow to know that we kind of screwed up this account. Now, there's,
Hmm.
is this, can it be salvaged? Answer is, and this is like if you've exhausted all the routes to save the account. But sometimes at that point, that's when you have to have that conversation to be like, okay, then it's a severing of ties
Hmm.
conversation. And it's not pleasant. Anyone that tells you that they can have that conversation and it's easy, I want to throw them over on my lap and spank them and say, liar, liar, pants on fire. Because it's not easy, but I do think the way you worded it, I thought was really nice is that you put it back into like a business context of like, hey, we are not able
Absolutely.
to meet your business objectives, as we agreed upon or whatever,
Hmm.
whatever. And I really like that. Or maybe, hey, after, we've worked together, it's really become obvious what you actually need may be out of the scope of our original discussion, and we want to be honest with you, blah, 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 right? We want to
We don't
be
have the capabilities
respectful.
to do that, whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. I don't have the capability of being up at 3 a.m. for you. No, I
Yeah,
can't
well,
say that.
you don't have to say why you don't have the capabilities
Well,
to.
I don't have to say that. What?
No, you know what? I think
Why
the
you wake me
more
up? Okay,
the
sorry.
the more you can sit there and part ways with companies professionally and amicably, the better off it is.
Mm,
Because you know
yeah,
what? People talk.
yeah.
People talk about what went really well, and people talk about what poorly. And the last thing you need is somebody sitting there, spewing on the internet, talking to their friends at the local chamber of commerce about what a horrible organization you are. If all of a sudden they says, look, you know what, we worked together, they weren't able to fulfill the needs that I was looking for, and we moved past it, and that's it's because they have sunk costs and you have sunk costs.
Mm-hmm.
Both of you have invested whether it's time, money, or effort, or leadership, or a combination thereof, to get to the point where it's insalvageable. Okay, there's sunk costs. You've both lost money one way, shape, or another, or
Right.
time, effort. You need to look past that and say, you know what? That money's gone. That time is gone. That those resources are gone. There's nothing I can do about it. The question is it worth investing more to try to salvage this relationship, or is it time to sit there and say professionally, thank you very much. Unfortunately, this is just not working out. It's not good for either one of us. Let's find a way to move past this and shake hands and let me help you be successful by pointing you somewhere else where you're going to be better served.
Let me dump your you know what else, right? I ain't done with your I
And sometimes that
I'm
might be
joking.
giving it to the person you absolutely hate, but that's a different story altogether. But
No, but
yeah,
I absolutely love that you said that. I really love that you said that because man alive, because people talk as you say, and it just
hmm
sucks because and this is why I'm not, and I jokingly say it, but there's some truth to all my jokes, everyone. I know I'm unhireable at this stage, like because what comes out my mouth, it's been in my brain, and there's a very little floodgate to stop it. That's all I'm saying. So I do think though, being honest though with them to say, with these are they, yeah, clients, uh,
Sure.
is if they've behaved poorly, as we know some.
Hmm.
Just remember it's their reaction, not your reaction. Because
Hmm.
I had this one once. This person was quite frankly, I thought, verbally abusive to vendors.
Hmm.
Okay. And it wasn't just me. So I never took what they said personally. They prided themselves as being gatekeepers for this company.
Right.
Oh, I know what you vendors want, but I'm the gatekeeper and I do the POs, you know. Never mind that. Yeah, you might cut the POs because that's your job. Did you talk to your team on what they actually need for the business? Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, but you just made me think of that person. Like, gosh, I'm so. I ran into them at a Costco once, by the way. It took every ounce of my soul to stay professional.
You know what? Here's the thing, and let's land this plane. Is as I tell people all the time, you can't control how other people act. You can only control how you react. And I think that we need to realize that, you know what, when people are demanding, when people are off-putting, when people are, belligerent, whatever, there could be something else going on in their life that's causing this. They could have a bad boss that's pouring it downhill. They could have a bad, a bad spouse that's giving it to them, giving them with both barrels. They could have kids that are sick. They could, there could be problems at the office. You never know what's going on in people's lives.
True.
All you can do is be as professional as you can. Realize that you can't solve every problem. You can't be everything to everybody. You can do your best, but you can always be professional. But you have to realize that sometimes some relationships are insalvageable. It's time to move on. So
And
let's
there's,
leave it
yeah,
there. Yeah, let's
yeah.
leave it there. I'm Ben,
And I'm happy, positive. See ya.
and we'll see you soon.
Hey, hey, hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not on This Business Bites. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Not on This Business Bites.